Welcome to our deep dive. We're looking at elevating your RC vehicle's performance today. Our mission, really, is to cut through some of the confusion around Tamiya's standalone shock springs. There's surprising depth there for you to unlock.
Yeah, absolutely. Many hobbyists, they start out with Tamiya's CVA damper kits,
Mm-hmm.
the constant volume A-arm ones. But the path to really precise tuning, to
Yeah.
actually transforming your RC's handling, it goes way beyond those basic spare parts.
That's a great point to kick off with. Spare parts versus something else. What's the core difference we need to get our heads around here?
Okay, so the crucial distinction is this. Those CVA kit springs, like the ones in sets 50746, 505109, 50520, Tamiya classifies them as spare parts.
Right, just for basic replacement if something breaks or gets lost, get you back to stock standard.
Exactly, just getting you back on the road. Real performance tuning, though, that comes from the hop-up options.
Top-up options.
Yeah, these are components specifically engineered for, well, enhanced performance. They're the upgrades that really start to unlock your vehicle's potential.
So it's like stepping into a whole different category of parts, really. And once you're there, it sounds like there's a definite kind of performance ladder of springs for you to climb.
That's a good way to put it. It's tiered, primarily based on the damper technology you're using.
Okay, walk us through that.
Right, so at Tier 1, you've got the standard diameter springs. Think of these as your workhorses. They're designed for the common plastic CVA dampers or, basic aluminum oil dampers that lots of kids come with.
So the most common starting point beyond the box.
Precisely. Your first and honestly most crucial step beyond a standard kit setup. A good example is the on-road tuned spring set, part number 53163.
Ah, the one with the different colors, red, yellow, blue.
That's the one. Soft, medium, hard, broadly compatible with popular chassis like the TT02. There's also the on-road spring set, hard part number 53440 for higher grip surfaces.
What difference would you actually feel making that first step?
You'd feel a more responsive ride, more predictable,
Yeah.
especially through corners. It's like your car suddenly starts listening better, It understands what you're asking to do.
That makes sense. A clearer connection. Now, are there specific sets for different types, like the smaller M chassis cars? And any tips for finding parts that seem hard to get?
Good questions. Yes, for the shorter M chassis cars, there's a dedicated set, the touring car tuned spring set, short type, part ON 53333.
Okay.
And here's a useful tip, a real sourcing nugget for you.
Yeah.
Even if Tamiya USA lists something as discontinued, don't give up straight away.
Oh.
Yeah, many of these hop-up options, even older ones, are often widely available. You can find new and packaged stock from global online retailers, places like eBay. Persistence definitely pays off.
Good to know. So don't just rely on one source. Okay, what's tier 2?
Right, moving up to Tier 2, we get into large diameter and big bore springs. Now, these are reserved pretty much exclusively for Tamiya's elite TRF dampers.
TRF Tamiya Racing Factory, the top competition stuff.
Exactly, their high-end line. These springs have a larger internal diameter, about 1.2 millimeters wider than the standard ones.
And what does that wider diameter do for you?
It allows for more oil volume and flow relative to the piston, leading to more consistent, more stable damping action. What that means for you on the track is incredibly predictable handling. 3 corners, over bumps.
Yeah.
It gives you a real competitive edge.
So a serious step up in control.
Definitely. But remember, upgrading to these large diameter springs means you must have already invested in the corresponding TRF dampers. They won't fit standard ones.
Right, you need the whole system.
And often specific spring retainers too, like part number 42192. A key example set here is the TRF damper large diameter spring set, part number 42278.
Okay, TRF level needs TRF springs. Makes sense. What about the absolute top, tier 3?
So tier 3 is where we find the aeration damper springs. These represent the pinnacle of Tamiya's off-road suspension technology specifically.
Off-road focus here.
Yeah, designed exclusively for their top-tier big-bore aeration dampers. What's really fascinating here is the shift in how they're labeled.
How so?
Instead of just qualitative labels like soft or medium, you start seeing precise quantitative spring rates, like a 0.76 spring rate, for instance.
Moving from feel to actual numbers, data.
Exactly. This empowers you to make incredibly precise, data-driven setup changes. You can fine-tune your vehicle's response to different track conditions or driving styles with unmatched accuracy.
That sounds like ultimate control.
It really is. You'll see this with sets like the big bore damper spring set, front 4WD, part num 54506, and the matching rear set, part num 54508.
That progression is fantastic, from general feel improvements to super precise data tuning. Okay, let's try and ground this. Can we use a practical example? Say, tuning the Tamiya Grasshopper Doesn't Black Edition buggy. How would these tiers apply?
Good example. The Grasshopper second kit, it comes with CVA mini shocks, that's part 50519 on the front, and the CVA short shocks, part 5520 on the rear.
Okay, standard CVAs.
All right. Now, if you lose or break a stock spring, the official Tamiya replacement is actually to buy the entire CVA shock kit again.
The whole shock, just for spring?
Yep. But look at this as your opportunity to upgrade, right? Instead of just replacing, improve.
Ah, clever. So would hop-ups fit?
Okay, for the front CVA mini shocks on the Grasshopper Downus, you can actually use that widely available on-road tuned spring set, part 53163, the tier 1 set we mentioned.
The red, yellow, blue ones again, they fit the mini shocks.
They do. And for the slightly longer rear CVA short shocks, the DTO2 spring set, part 53832, is a perfect fit. That set gives you dedicated front and rear pairs in both soft, red, and hard blue stiffness levels.
So you get dedicated tuning options for front and rear specifically for buggies.
Exactly. I remember doing something similar on a DTO2 chassis, actually. And using that spring set just smoothed out the ride noticeably, especially over the smaller, chattery bumps.
Nice. Now, what about going all out? You mentioned TRF shocks earlier. Could you fit something like the TRF buggy shock set, part 54128, to a Grasshopper the second?
Technically, yes, you could fit them. They are fantastic shocks, offering truly superior damping performance.
It is always buzz.
There is here, yeah. It's really important to set realistic expectations, especially with a chassis like the Grasshopper to 7.
Why is that?
Well, it has that very simple, rolling, rigid rear axle suspension design. It's kind of old school. While TRF shocks will definitely improve the damping aspect, they can't fully overcome the inherent handling limitations of that basic rear suspension design. Meaning, even with those amazing high-end shocks, the buggy might still exhibit some of that characteristic hopping or skipping behavior on really rough surfaces. The chassis design itself is the limiting factor there.
So shocks can only do so much if the fundamental suspension geometry isn't designed for high performance?
Precisely. You need to match your expectations to the chassis' fundamental design capabilities. So, summing up, our deep dive today really shows that Tamiya provides this rich and pretty extensive ecosystem of shock springs that are sold separately.
Yeah, it's way more than just grabbing a spare part.
Absolutely. Understanding that key distinction, basic spare parts versus performance-oriented hop-up options, that's really your gateway to precision tuning.
And by knowing these different tiers you've laid out, from the standard CVA-compatible springs right up to those springs with precise quantitative rates for the top-end TRF aeration dampers, you're genuinely empowered. You can meticulously fine-tune your vehicle.
You can really transform its feel, its performance, how it responds to your inputs.
So with all this knowledge now kind of laid out for you, the big question is, what strategic spring upgrade will you target first? What move will you make to elevate your RC driving to that next level of control and enjoyment?